Malta would seem to be the last place to find a car museum. North of Valletta is Bourguiba and next to it Qawra. A Type 51 Bugatti in full road trim stands outside the very interesting Classic Car Museum in Qawra. Once inside you realise that this is a top-class, very professional museum. Fully air-conditioned, spacious and spotlessly clean, one is surrounded by a wealth of beautifully presented cars, models and memorabilia. This little Austin 7 Tourer could be used for racing. It's fitted with a Brooklands type silencer. The driver is all kitted out and ready to go, complete with mascot. Another Tourer, a Standard 8, the young lady suitably dressed, and on the back seat a picnic hamper awaiting to be filled. The first of many tableaus, this one featuring an Austin, and then two Minis. One carrying oil drums in front of another tableau. Naturally, there were plenty of Italian cars, two small ones here. I like the Ferrari badge. A trio of British cars, including the frog-eyed Sprite. In addition to cars, there were lots of models and posters, and more models, lots of them. There was a wonderful collection of beautiful red Alfa Romeos in styles that only Italian designers can produce and are so famous for. Majestic and stunning are two words that come to mind in trying to describe these beautiful cars. Their body shapes just flow elegantly from front to rear, creating panache, style and sex appeal all in one. Even the white one looks classy. This guy with his golf clubs in the back seat gazes lovingly at his pride and joy. A few more assorted models and then lots of coaches and buses. Another model, I mean the one in the blue dress. The stand on the left featured lots of models. They were all grouped round a motorbike. There were a few in the museum. British cars were well represented and grouped accordingly. Here a trio of familiar Ford family saloons. Here are a brace of gleaming MGs. With a solitary Triumph TR3. One of my favourites has always been the Austin Healey 3000. This lovely silver one with black interior looked very special. Then came the Jaguars, the silver open XJS, and next to it a green XJS with a very stylish rear end. The cream leather fits perfectly in this car. Next, an early XK120, finished in lovely dark maroon paintwork with its famous Jaguar motif on the bonnet. Moving on, a joy to behold, two lovely E-types. The red one's a left-hand drive, but we won't worry too much about it. And then one of the big saloons. The museum also has a cinema. Showing today is a film of the present-day Mille Miglia, with entrance getting away from the start. Whoever she is, she sure looks happy. Remember these? And also a little Citroen. This expensive looking model is being photographed by another model. This white scimitar looks rather lovely. Another piece of memorabilia, all adding character to the museum. An interesting part of this museum is the workshop. Here a sporting looking car is being worked on by a member of the staff who has all the equipment handy. A few more models. Here Mercedes are in abundance. This one looks very impressive with the swastika on the wing there. A 500K shows off its exhaust pipes, and another beauty lets you see its engine. Mixed in with the saloons and sports cars were a few of the famous Silver Arrows racing cars. A Gullwing 300 SL model and an SSK, the sports car of the 30s. The range of models in this museum was endless. Of course there had to be a real Mercedes somewhere, and here was a beauty. The red interior looked wonderful. Another interesting tableau, this time including a boat, a dog, a little man, and yes, a very attractive model. Mother, a daughter, and a Spitfire. American cars were not excluded, but this 1929 Pontiac came from a different age to all the other cars. Elvis was close by. Even as one approached the exit, you were surrounded by yet more models. It really had been very enjoyable going around this excellent classic car museum. A great credit to the founder and the staff who work here. Outside again, and the wonderful Type 51 Bugatti still stands proudly on the forecourt. But now let's move on to the next museum. This impressive building is the Museo Nazionale dell'Automobile Torino. It is also Italy's National Automobile Museum. Founded in 1932, it is one of the finest in the world. Once inside, the first vehicle one sees is this magnificent carriage. A notice says, before the motor car, this was the way people travelled. The museum houses over 200 cars. Here are models from various countries built at the dawn of the car age. All are in magnificent condition, considering their age. As one continues through the museum, the cars get progressively more modern, with some great cars on view. This Mercedes is probably worth millions. From one extreme to the other, a little Austin 7, standing close by to an American luxury model of the late 1930s. Sports cars, such as this Ferrari and this beautiful E-Type Jag, stand close to giants of the past. Like this Italia and a majestic Fiat which was built for a king. There were also some massive engines on view from the early days of motoring. One of the highlights of the museum was a lineup of historic racing cars, Italian of course, lined up 2 by 2 as if on a racetrack. Hello, there's a Bugatti there. How did that get in? Here's one of the last of the front-engine Ferraris, and the stylish Maserati 250F, a really lovely racing car. Here, with the bonnet open, is the 2.9 litre straight-8 engine of the famous Alfa Romeo, the Tipo B racing car of the 1930s. The Mercedes 1955 W196 racing car. This was one of the most famous races of all time. The race considered by many to be totally impossible to complete. They left Peking on the 10th of June 1907. From Peking they had to cross the Gobi Desert, then through mountainous country into Russia, on through Poland, Germany, and finally through France and Paris. Here's the Prince, the Italia and his mechanic, using the Trans-Siberian Railway tracks as a guide. Oops, this wasn't supposed to happen. Being pulled out of a spot of bother by some locals, escorted by the local pony club. Lighten ship, we're going down. We stayed at the Majestic Hotel that night. Local help was invaluable. Bridge collapses under the car and all hands are required to pull it back. Let's get out of this wet stuff and try to find a road. Oh no, not again. Civilization for a change. Nearly home. The triumphal arrival into Paris after winning the race. They had covered 10,000 miles in 60 days. Prince Borghese and his mechanic Ettore Guzzardi take a well-earned rest. This is a photo of the specially built Italia car that won the race. It has a 45 horsepower, 7.5 litre engine and only did 8 miles to the gallon. It carried 100 gallons of fuel, 12 gallons of oil and 12 gallons of water and weighed 1.5 tons. Those mudguards were made of strong steel and could be detached and placed under the wheels to cross streams and marshes when required. Painted on the car is Peking and Paris. And here is the actual car and some of the gear they started with. Here's one of the extra fuel tanks. Spare tyres, which were specially made by the Pirelli company. The massive front end of the Italia. There weren't many instruments, if indeed any at all. Throughout the trip they carried the Italian and Chinese flags. This really was a mighty beast, and no doubt hard to drive, but despite countless adventures, it made it to Paris, and survived through to today. I had read of the famous race some time ago and was thrilled to see the car.